Here on the Trading Coach Podcast, we talk a lot about accelerating your wealth, not just through trading, but by finding other forms of supplemental income as well. Well, an easy way to do that is by sharing your story by using Spotify for podcasting. Not only do they allow you to record and edit right from your phone or computer, but they'll also shoot it out everywhere that podcasts are heard and even pay you to do it, which still doesn't make sense, but hey, we'll take it, right? Video podcasts are also available as well, which is a really cool option if you're into sharing your charts and stuff like that. Best of all, it's free. So as someone who measures risk reward for a living, this is a no-brainer. So if you're ready to create, don't wait. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app right now, or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Speaking of getting started, let's get started with the show. Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. Today, I have a question for you. What is more important, price or patterns? I was doing my round this morning. It's a rainy Friday. Doing my rounds this morning on Twitter, just looking for information and then doing some research on some news stuff. And I came across a tweet by a good buddy of mine in the trading space. And the tweet said, amateur traders focus on patterns. Professional traders focus on price. That's the big difference. And of course, whenever you put something out there on social media, you get destroyed because people don't often, well, in general, not everyone is going to agree with you. That is, a natural and normal part of the world. That is a good part because it's good to have these discussions. That's why I love social media, when I can put a topic out there, and I try not to do like anything too controversial just for clickbait or anything like that. But when you can put a topic out there, it is good to either educate others who may have a different opinion if they're open to listening, or get educated on your own right. And I'm a big kind of growth mindset person, so I love being given different information, and then I can do my own research and ultimately decide if I want to change my opinion or keep it. But a lot of the time when you put stuff out there on a social media platform, you get destroyed, right? Because trolls are lurking. They lurk under the social media bridge, and anytime you slip up, they like to kind of jump out and do all that fun stuff. So I kind of feel bad for them. But there are different mentions or different replies to this tweet. Terrible tweet. Price action should be on top. I focus on this. I focus on that. And in general, whenever we tweet something, I disagree with the tweet, by the way, but I know what the trader is talking about. So, because I'm in the space and have the experience, I know what he meant, but I could also understand what it looks like from the outside looking in when you don't have a knowledge base. And here's my opinion on it, right? Because I didn't want to get involved in this conversation for reasons I just mentioned earlier. Amateur traders focus on patterns. Professional traders focus on price. That's the big difference. Well, the reality is there's not always a difference between patterns and price. They can be the same, and in fact, they are the same, right? There are price patterns in the market, but I think the biggest difference comes in how we value them or how we interpret them, right? Because if you look at the definition of a pattern, right? A pattern is nothing more than something that is, something that is repeated in a predictable manner, right? So a pattern can be literally me drawing 4 squares in a row. That's a pattern. A pattern could be a routine where, like, if you ever watched any of these, like, I watch a lot of movies that have to do with like bank heist and stuff like that, right? The guards have a specific pattern where they check this floor at this time, they clock out at this time, right? I was just watching Better Call Saul the other day, and he found out the pattern of the security officers and when they eat and when they take their eyes off the camera and stuff like that, right? That is a pattern. So in the financial markets, there are lots of patterns. There are literal price patterns that happen. There are movement patterns. There are human behavioral patterns as well. A couple episodes ago, hopefully if I posted these things in order, we spoke about 10 laws of human behavior and how it's very predictable to understand how humans act and react to things, right? That is a pattern of its own right. But the biggest misconception or the biggest issue that I see a lot of traders make is just, it comes from, I guess, the understanding umbrella and separating the two, right? So Yes, there is price. Yes, there are patterns. Yes, there are price patterns, simple, complex, classic, advanced, all different types of categories. But the biggest mistake that a newer trader makes, and I think this is what our trader was getting at with the tweet, is that newer traders, or he calls them amateur traders, and amateur is not a negative thing, right? New, amateur, we all start off at that point. But I think newer or amateur traders start off by just focusing on the what of the pattern, meaning what does it look like, right? What does this head and shoulders look like? What does this 3-bar reversal look like? What does this symmetrical triangle look at? What does this Gartley or cipher pattern look like? Whatever it may be. They focus on the what, and they only focus on finding the what. So they have this thing, they know what it looks like, they draw it out, and they go in the market and they just look for it, right? And I'm not saying that's a negative thing, right? We have to train our RAS, our reticular activating system is kind of like our brain and eyes are our filter, right? It allows certain things of importance to stand out to us. It allows us to ignore the other things. So if you want to find a certain and specific thing, right, you need to know what that thing looks like, and you need to get reps in the market of finding it. That way it makes it easier and easier to find, so you can ultimately trade it and hopefully make some money off of it. But the point that I think he was trying to make is that instead of just understanding the what of the pattern, what it looks like, we also should have a deeper understanding of the why. So why is this pattern being formed? Why is price making this type of movement? So for example, like with a head and shoulders pattern I mentioned, it's one thing to look at a head and shoulders, and it's one thing to say, okay, well, I know when I see this pattern, right, we should get this result. But if you can understand why this pattern forms, meaning the buying and selling habits of a head and shoulders, and it's going to be hard in audio only, but bear with me. A head and shoulders patterns, the first move is a strong directional move, so like a big move up. And then the second move is a natural retracement, a shorter retracement. That gives us our shoulder. And that shorter retracement represents a strong trend, which we would expect from the big extension up. Now, the expectation of a strong trend comes with the expectation of the next extension being another long extension. But lo and behold, in the head and shoulders pattern, the next extension is a little bit shorter relative to the first one. So this is now a sign that, hey, the trend is slowing down. The buying strength in this bullish opportunity is slowing down, meaning there may not be as much interest in the market. We then get another retracement, putting in our second point of our neckline, which is deep. And, where before the shallow retracement gave us a sign of a strong trend or a projected strong trend, this deep retracement tells us the opposite. This deep retracement tells us that, hey, this trend is slowing down. And that aligns with the previous signal we had of that shorter extension. So we started off with kind of two moves that said strong. And now we're getting two moves that say short, or weak, excuse me. And then finally, the second shoulder, if you can imagine this, and again, if you're brand new and you can't picture this, I apologize. Maybe take a second, pause this podcast, Google search head and shoulder pattern, or watch one of my YouTube videos on head and shoulders patterns, and so you can see it. But that next move up, which should be another extension if we're in a healthy trend, is a failed extension. That creates the right shoulder. So now we're getting, okay, strong move up, good for bulls. Short retracement, good for bulls. But then we get shallower extension. Okay, so if we're scoring this, the bulls have 2 points. But now we get shallower extension. Well, okay, one point for the bears. Now we get deeper retracement. Okay, 2 points for the bears. Now we get failed extension. Okay, 3 points for the bears. You can see how the momentum is shift, right? Where it was 2-0 bulls, now it's 3-2 bears, right? The tide has turned. And then finally, with the price breaking that neckline, that is the biggest signal. That is another point for the bears, obviously. But imagine like a 3-pointer or a goal in soccer where the tide really turns. And you don't get that just by knowing what the pattern looks like. You get that by understanding price and how price is moving and why price or why this pattern is forming because of what it means by price. And what that gives you is it gives you an alternative look at the market. It gives you a better understanding. It allows you to do more things than just trade the pattern, right? If you just know what the pattern looks like, you are essentially a one-trick pony, which again isn't a bad thing starting off, right? Find something that works and trade it and make money. But once you kind of understand it, now it allows you to see it in a different way. It opens up the game for you, and now you can be more creative in the market, and that is what professional traders do. Now they can take patterns that are a little bit sloppy, or patterns that are similar to this head and shoulders but not quite, but mean the same thing. And trust me, there are many patterns out there that aren't technical patterns, but they mean the same thing as what a technical pattern would look like, and that opens up more opportunities, and that is the big difference. So I wouldn't look at this tweet as a negative. Amateur traders focus on patterns. I don't think that's a bad thing, right? Professional traders focus on price. I think that's a good thing. I think it has more to do with the development that a trader goes through, where you start off by just focusing on the thing, and then as you get more knowledgeable, that thing opens up into different levels and whatnot, and becomes more things. And that's the big difference. That is the growth that happens from being kind of a one-trick pony to someone that can fully analyze, break down the markets, and is a true chartist. So let me know what you think. Again, this is just my opinion of being in the industry for I don't know how many years now, teaching and kind of being on both ends of this, where I mean something when I tweet, but it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. But if you're someone that has been through that transition, and maybe you agree or disagree with how you view the markets, or how your views of the market have changed over years, feel free to lend me your opinion. You can write it down in the comment section under the YouTube video. You can write this in the Spotify section. There's a kind of a episode kind of thing where you can write in. I can publish it, and that way other people can see the different views as well. But I think it's a cool topic. Just random thoughts from the mind of Akil. But of course, that's what the Trading Coach podcast is for, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Hey, do me a favor before you leave. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do wherever you listen to this podcast at. That way you can ensure that the Trading Coach podcast pops up at the top of your feed and you don't miss any episodes. All right? Until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.